Wake up because the weekend is here. This is another edition of Mic'd Up here on Pittsburgh Sports Live, Pittsburgh Sports Now, and all throughout the Now family of networks. I'm Mike Asti. My co-host is Mike Vukovcan, and Mic'd Up is presented as always by Martin Lawn Services. You can contact them at 412-849-5894. We're going to touch on Gregory Polanco again because he is still with the Pittsburgh Pirates. He has been heavily criticized. He has been heavily scrutinized. That whole situation has even been criticized. And he now finally is pushing back against the fans and kind of saying he doesn't like the criticism a little bit. We're also going to preview the Steelers' final preseason game as they will now conclude their preseason. Dwayne Haskins is finally getting the start, but does it really matter? And most of the starters not playing in the game, but the regular season now almost here. So the entire offseason of drama, of speculation, of conversation, of just wondering now coming to an end. So our thoughts there as well. We are going to get it started, though, in baseball for Pittsburgh Baseball Now with Gregory Polanco literally saying about the criticism he receives, it's not nice. I'm a human being, too. I'm not just paraphrasing. These are his words, and basically saying that I'm trying. I got to support my family. I was talking about this with colleagues last night. He's obviously made tons of money throughout his career. Some would argue much more than he's actually played to that level. He did get a big contract for him not that long ago and certainly hasn't played well enough to have earned it. His Pirates era is coming to an end sooner than later at some point when he did not clear waivers and is still back with the Pirates right now. And yeah, there was hype around him for a while. He at one point was a great player. At one point could have been that third guy with McCutchen and Marte. At one point could have been a perennial all-star. Injuries also were part of this, but he, of course, couldn't find his swing for a while, and he still had speed, but not much defensively or offensively in a consistent basis. But, Mike, we've been meme about him for a while. We haven't heard much from him for a while. Everyone's been commenting on him. What are your thoughts now that he basically is making it clear he does not like the criticism? He's a human being, too. He's a nice guy. He is a nice guy. We've admitted that. He is a nice guy. But what do you, he doesn't like it.
Well,
doesn't want Mike Up to talk about him negatively.
Well, I'll start by saying before I say what I really feel about him, I'll say that I like Gregory Polanco, and I think he's handled himself. I think he's been a good Pirate. I've stated that prior to this plenty of times. I was there when he was there early, and he's a good guy. Now let's get to his comments. I work hard. I try to support my family. I give it my all. If Greg wants to give me some of his money, I'll take every piece of criticism that somebody wants to have. If you want to throw it my way, bring it on. I don't care. Those comments were ridiculous.
Asinine. I'm going to use my word. They were asinine.
They sounded like, honestly, instead of coming from a 29 or 30-year-old guy, whatever he is, it sounded like it came from a 10-year-old, to be honest with you, saying something as dumb as that. Nobody ever, as far as I heard or read, nobody ever personally attacked Gregory Polanco.
No, I don't think the criticism was ever unfair. No,
nobody ever went Cordell Stewart style on Gregory Polanco. Nobody went racial on Gregory.
Right. No, not at all. No.
They just said he sucked,
and he has been.
Which he's
years.
done. Since 2017, he's been a bad ball player that's underperformed, that's made a hell of a lot of money. So I don't know where maybe that's his mentality as far as maybe he's still a child. I don't know, but those are pretty dumb comments. And trust me, that's not gonna, if he thinks that saying something like that is gonna stop the criticism, that's only going to keep it going, considering the salaries of the general population and him talking about trying to feed my family. That's ridiculous. It was one of the more dumber comments I've heard in a long time, and there's been a lot of dumb things said in Pittsburgh sports over the years.
It actually may have turned off his rabid fans, because there are some people that have been riding for Gregory Polanco for years and keep wanting to have him have a chance. And now everyone comes to terms with it is over. But there has never been a time, and it's rare because admittedly there are examples that Pittsburgh sports fans and media alike have kind of went over the line with athletes. You mentioned Cordell Stewart. His personal life was discussed constantly when he was quarterback for the Steelers. We absolutely could look back on that and admit to ourselves that was not reasonable to do. That was over the line. Gregory Polanco has only ever been criticized about what's going on the field. And I'm not even sure if the word is criticized. It's not like anyone's beating him down. They're basically just saying he's no longer good. He got hurt, whether that's at fault or not. He can't find his swing anymore. He shouldn't be starting, eventually shouldn't be playing. Maybe he's best to go somewhere else because we've touched on this too. It's not like he's 45. He's 29, 30 years old. He could find his swing and be better somewhere else. Who knows? There is talent there, but it's just over with. And I think also the problem is it's not like he was making league minimum. He got a contract. Right. He got solid money. So there's a level of criticism that he may feel, okay, this other player also sucks. Why aren't you talking about him every day on Twitter? Well, you're the one that was in the big three. You're the one with the bigger contract. When you get the more money, with great power comes great responsibility. If you have a greater position, if you have a greater standing or stature, if you have greater money, you're going to get criticized more if you're not getting it done. And yeah, I work hard as well. I'm trying to feed my family as well. And Mike, we've both taken criticism before, and not one time have we ever went out there and said, I'm a nice guy, you can't criticize me. Like, that's just crazy. That's not how it works. Yeah. In fact, that's only going to make people want to criticize you even more.
Yeah, so I also think
I was surprised a little bit though.
Yeah. I'm surprised it came to this point. Like, it's been going on for a while. I'm not sure who
he must have been boiling over.
The media hasn't gotten to him before then. Right. And I'm also glad that I don't know that I'm glad after hearing his comments.
Right.
But it was I was wondering before this yesterday why, because it's every day Gregory Polanco's in the lineup. Why is he playing? And I've never heard Derek Shelton comment on it that much. And he was commented yesterday, and his comments, they weren't as bad as Gregory Polanco's, but they made a little sense as Polanco's as far as his effort and stuff. He's effort. So what? He's a major league player. There's a lot of guys that go, I'll go throw me out in right field. I'll give you effort too.
Yeah, you got to give effort. He's making money. Can you imagine if he wasn't giving effort? What in the world?
My guess is the Pirates, they're not going to say this, but I don't know that they're trying to tank it or whatever by continuing to put him out there. But Shelton was talked about it yesterday, and we have it on Pittsburgh Baseball now. His comments, they were pretty lame to say the least. But after last night, it's probably not going to continue. When you do stuff like this only sometimes hardens the manager's stance, depending what type of person Shelton is. He's going to keep throwing Polanco out there. And, to the Pirates' credit last night and to Polanco's credit, it was a good once again, it shows that they're not laying down. They're not quitting. They could have, quit real easy against the Cardinals, but they didn't. And it was actually a pretty fun game to watch.
Yeah, the Pirates, I've said this before, for being such a bad team, and they've been a bad team this year, they do play interesting and entertaining games. So they play Pittsburgh. I've never seen a bad team like this. The Pittsburgh Pirates are one of the worst teams watched in a while, and they play entertaining games. Yeah. But it also shows, these young kids are playing really, really hard. They want to win, even though it's not going to happen right now. And they are playing hard for Derek Shelton. So maybe from the top, they're not trying to win this year because, honestly, what's the point of winning? But if he has that strategy and he's going with it, then he's eventually going to – I don't think he's going to get the labor from that. So he's probably not going to be around whenever they do win. Who knows? But
I will say one thing.
The comments are just crazy.
One thing I like is I know it's early, and some people made some comments about this. It's only been a week or whatever, 2 weeks. There's something about this second base, Michael Chavis, that I like.
Okay.
There's something, I don't know. He has a little bit of swag to him. There's something I'm picking up early about him. We'll see if it lasts. But I think that this could turn out to be we'll see. He's playing every day, which I like. This could have turned out to be a steal for the Pirates as far as a guy that is still young enough, former first-round pick. Mm-hmm. And I like this trade, and I think it's going to end up being a very good one for the Pirates down the road.
It could, and the infield's going to be in question going into the offseason and what's going to happen next year. So that certainly could help things, at least for the future. Mic'd Up here, presented by Martin Lawn Services. We're going to put Gregory Polanco's comments to bed and eventually put him to bed here around the Pittsburgh sports scene. And we're also going to transition, as Mike provided a segue there, from one former first-round pick now trying to find his way to another former first-round pick who's now going to be getting the start for another Pittsburgh team in the Pittsburgh Steelers, who's trying to find his way after squandering a chance at his way in Washington. Dwayne Haskins messing things up with Washington. He's not a victim there. I don't care what anybody says. Didn't study, was celebrating losses, was leaving practice early, wasn't showing up for different meetings. The guy messed things up there no matter what they also did. He's trying things now with the Steelers. He didn't really get a fair shake of this QB competition. I don't believe it ever really was one. Rudolph and Ben are going to be sitting this final preseason game tonight. He will get the start. John Clayton, the esteemed John Clayton, threw out comments recently that all Haskins has to do is not suck, and he will somehow already have locked up this backup job. I'm not sure what he's watching or what's going down there. That doesn't make sense. Obviously, Haskins is behind Rudolph in the Steelers' eyes. That may mean they're going to trade Rudolph. That may mean they're going to trade Haskins. We don't know really what's going to happen. But I'd imagine Haskins would have to play really, really, really well, better than Philly even, to steal that job from Rudolph if they're all on the roster. Separate even from that, but including that, what are you expecting and what do you want to see from this final preseason game? They get one more than most teams. They went down from 4 to 3. The Steelers still have 4 this year. There are still position battles they're trying to figure out. They also want to see more continuity, of course, with the O-line. A lot of the starters are not going to play, still looking to figure things out with TJ Watt. But obviously, everyone's watching to see how Haskins plays, if he actually can have a solid start, and what that will mean to whether they get a trade for him, trade Rudolph, or what happens. But anything else you're looking for, or is it just that in this game?
Well, first of all, John Clayton, I don't know what's happened to him. When I was growing up, he was a
he was the guy, the commercials.
Yeah, he was
the guy. I actually texted my best friend that my 13-year-old self would be very, very jealous to know that I am now more tapped into the Pittsburgh Steelers than John Clayton. And I never thought I would see the day. The man's a Hall of Famer in terms of a journalist as an NFL insider. But I don't even like – it's like he's not – I don't know what he's doing.
No, he's not relevant. He just says that he's –
I don't want to trash him, but the comments were crazy.
Yeah, he's not just those comments, but a lot of other ones.
Right.
But anyways, on this one, I don't know. I know the easy thing to say is that, and it looks that way, Mason Rudolph's the backup. Looks that way. However, a couple years ago,
it did flip. Sure,
it was the same situation. Landry Jones,
right.
And he sat, and they ended up cutting him or trading.
Yeah, with Dobbs. That right. Yeah.
So I don't know. I really don't know. My guess would be that Mason Rudolph has it locked up.
I mean, Haskins would have to play really well, you would imagine, right? He doesn't. He couldn't play a regular game.
Based on, I don't know that it's going to based on.
He's going to get the number one defense coming at him because Carolina has said they're starting more of their starters than the Steelers are.
Yeah, I don't know. I think everyone thinks they know what's going on.
Oh, we may not.
Kevin Colbert could be looking to. Somebody wrote this yesterday that the Steelers might be. There's certain players. Maybe they're looking to get some draft capital back. Maybe they're confident enough. They've seen.
I think they could trade one of them.
Yeah, maybe they've seen enough in Dwayne Haskins that they're comfortable with Josh Dobbs there. Those are 4 quarterbacks that could be on NFL rosters, and one of them you don't want to cut guys that you possibly can get something for. So I would guess that it's going to go obviously Ben, Mason, Haskins. But I come tomorrow or Monday, whatever they make their cuts, it wouldn't shock me if something happens with Mason Rudolph. It just wouldn't, because
the only thing I would be shocked by, and I said this to somebody too, I think right now going into the final preseason game, the depth chart in their eyes in terms of comfortability is, again, I've said this before, Haskins has a higher ceiling. There's more talent. That's why he's a first round pick, but he hasn't done enough. And Rudolph doesn't make mistakes any longer. There's no longer interceptions, even though he needs to get better getting him in the end zone. They feel comfortable with him, certainly as a QB too. So I think the depth chart going into the final preseason game is Big Ben, Mason Rudolph, Haskins, and then Dobbs, 1, 2, 3, 4. It could change if Haskins sets the world on fire, but this is what I'd be most surprised by, and it never will occur, is if on the Steelers roster, it's ever been Haskins and Rudolph being QB3. I for several reasons. Not only if Haskins plays so well, they want to keep him, because if you think Haskins is good enough to maybe be your future guy, I think there might be a higher likelihood they would think Haskins could be the guy after Ben, just because of his talent, even though they're comfortable with Rudolph. But he is signed for another year, and Kevin Colbert said they might be comfortable with him if he has to start. So who knows there? But there's a higher ceiling with Haskins. If he gives them confidence that he could be that guy after Ben with the low risk, high reward contract, then okay. But then they would trade Mason Rudolph. They would get a draft pick for Mason Rudolph. And I also think that not only would they do it because of draft capital, the fans hate this man. The Steelers like Mason Rudolph. They respect Mason Rudolph. He's done his work. He's never done anything wrong, really. He was a victim of the Myles Garrett situation. There's no proof he actually said anything there. Tomlin has gone on national shows that he hates to do and defend Mason Rudolph up and down. It shows you he likes the guy. They would do right by him too. If they're on board with Haskins, they're gonna. Yeah, it
would be an uncomfortable room having a guy,
and it would be
backup.
Right.
Yeah, I had a question for you since you're more tapped in with this than I am. Maybe the biggest real battle is it at running back? Who has does Benny Snell? As Tomlin said that he's gonna. Right. He's going to get his most action tonight.
Right.
Jalen Samuels has been on the roster last year. They signed the guy from the Chargers, Kalen
Balaj.
What's the running back depth chart look like in your eyes?
Well, either way, the running back position is going to obviously be better. It's going to be a better running game last year, and that was Achilles' heel the last couple years. Najee Harris is a true number one. He's going to overcome the offensive line being poor. He can make plays out of them. It could kill him for the future, but unlike James Conner, who I never believed was a true one, Harris is. Below him, I think, from what I've seen and what I would do if I were the Steelers, would be much more sold on Balaj or Anthony McFarland than Snell. I don't know if there's really one guy that I love between the two. Maybe Anthony McFarland because of his burst, and now he's been around a little bit longer. There are some rumblings that they still like Benny Snell, and Benny Snell like Haskins. And what Clayton said, maybe he has an edge for the running back 2 position. That would be, I will tell you this, Mike, if Benny Snell is the backup running back, the RB2, that would be one of the more surprising developments of the offseason, because that would tell me there almost was never a running back competition. Right. I don't even know why they brought Balaj in. Snell there's no film. He has not played well. He has not been good in camp. Yeah, he's a nice guy. There's nothing in this offseason to say he has won that job. There's nothing in last year or the year before to say he is secured. Again, he's a nice dude. He did all the interviews that a lot of people didn't want to do when I was around him in camp in Latrobe, but I just don't see, and he was good in college. I don't see how he could stabilize that. I would think it would make more sense to have Anthony McFarland in that position, and then you try to get something for Snell. You've been saying this on Twitter for a while. There are a lot of teams that need running backs, and every other team is making trades for running backs. We're seeing teams like the Rams just switching out running backs like left and right, and the Steelers are never in rumors, never in those conversations. It is kind of puzzling, but I'd imagine that something's going to give here. Balaj, it'll be interesting to me what happens with Balaj, because he has looked really good, potentially the best of that bunch outside of Harris, but I can't imagine him necessarily being the guy, but I would go with McFarland. I would then try to keep Balaj, do kind of what they did last year with
Samuels is gone, right?
Samuels. I would think Samuels would have to be gone. It doesn't make sense for Samuels to still be there.
There's a lot of guys, I think, on the Steelers roster that I wouldn't want to say a lot, but I think there's a handful of guys on the Steelers roster that you would think that the Steelers might be able to, depending on what they do today, depending on what injury,
get something for
like that.
Yeah.
I'm always for, man. If you, instead of cutting somebody, if Balaj isn't going to be your number 2 back, and if somebody needs a back,
you can get something for him.
Get a fifth,
or McFarland if you like Balaj, or
yeah,
I think you would get the least value for Snell out of a trade.
Oh yeah, no question. So I think that's the only reason to watch tonight, as far as there's when the Steelers have the ball defensively. I don't know that there's many stories, maybe right. Cornerback or something like that, but offense I think is wide receivers, running backs, in the quarterback position, and I'm glad that the Steelers are actually playing their offensive line tonight to give.
Yeah, they need that chemistry.
Yeah, to give Haskins as far as the aside from just the chemistry, you got to give the guy a chance in there. You can't ask him to go back there and be a quarterback and then throw second and third team offensive line with him. That would almost defeat the purpose of seeing what he can do.
No, I think that's going to be nice. We'll actually finally get to see Haskins as more of the ones. I actually, as much as I thought Rudolph had the edge and the Haskins stands were a little ridiculous and not evaluating this fairly, I did actually say that Haskins, I would have liked to give him one of the starts in the first 2 preseason games to get more receivers out there, etc. So he's finally getting it. We'll see. I think they've kind of said what they said in terms of, I think the depth chart is clear right now. I think you have to play really, really well to steal it from Rudolph. I think there's a reason why they gave Rudolph the contract. Maybe Haskins will be the guy traded, but I think you can get something for Haskins or Rudolph at this point, maybe more for Rudolph. And then again, you can make some other moves. I also think I'll put this to bed as we go into that final preseason game. I don't think they're not trading Eric Ebron. I would be shell shocked if they did. They shouldn't do so. Pat Freiermuth is really good. He catches everything. But just because somebody emerges as being good does not mean that anyone else who plays the position must be gone. You can have more than one guy who's good. You can run 2 tight end sets that they've really never been able to truly run because they legit have 2 receivers that can catch the football. So Eric Ebron is a former All-Pro in the league. He can be good when he's healthy and when his mind is right. They're not going to move him. And also it would be, I think, $6 million in just dead money they throw in the garbage can. That's crazy. I mean, they have a lot of money, but they work hard for that money, as we talked about at the top of the show. They're not just trying to throw cash in the garbage can. So they're not going to do that. And they would absolutely get something for Ebron, but the other team would laugh at him probably. So that's not going to happen. If he's going to walk next year or want to force out and be upset, that'll be fine. But Kevin Colbert has made this clear by moves. That's why they brought in Joe Sherbert. They're in win now mode. They may not win. Who knows about the future? But you don't bring Ben back. You don't make a trade for a linebacker who's a veteran and a Pro Bowler to not be in win now mode. And if you're in win now mode, you're not trading a chance at a Pro Bowl tight end just because you have a rookie who's catching everything. So that doesn't even work out financially. I don't see that happening. But it is all about the QB2 battle, whether there really was one, what's going on. And I will say that I'm hoping no matter what happens, that this does calm it to bed. I also do hope that if Rudolph somehow is still on this roster, is the QB2, and he has to play at some point, that there are not Steeler fans that are literally rooting against him because they're upset about Haskins for years and years. But that is undoubtedly the road we were about to travel. That'll do it for this edition of the show as the Steelers conclude their preseason and Gregory Polanco talks out of his you-know-where and sticks something in his mouth. I don't, again, he is a nice guy, but Lord, we're all working hard.
Yeah.
We're all working hard. We're all working hard for our money. We're all getting criticized, and nobody's saying that. And he's making much more than the common man. But enjoy your weekend. Enjoy all the Pittsburgh sports comments and drama. Head over to Pittsburgh Baseball Now. Steelers Now for coverage after the game, including this channel as well. Here, subscribe, and you'll catch the Steelers edition of Pittsburgh Postgame on